childhood was so different than majority of Australians. Can you take us back to where you were born and what it was like in your family at that time?
Yeah, my parents, they're from Eastern Europe. Mum's Russian, Dad's Polish. So they left Eastern Europe at the time that martial law was just coming in, which was in the early 80s. It was a really oppressive time of military rule. So for them, especially for them being real entrepreneurs and people that sort of had a lot of ambition, it was just a stifling time to be there. And for them, there was nothing worse than staying in Eastern Europe in those conditions. So my mum had my sister who was 3, she was pregnant with me, and she had to escape separately from my dad so that the authorities wouldn't think that anything was up, because they weren't allowed to leave.
Wow.
So Dad left first, and they were supposed to meet in Austria,
Right.
and then Mum left after him. They met in Austria, I was born there, and then they applied for refugee status in different places, but Australia accepted them. So we came here as soon as I was old enough, which was 6 weeks, to get on a plane.
Right.
We were in Villawood for 10 months, and then we ended up living in the western suburbs, and I didn't learn to speak English until I started school.
I know, how incredible.
Yeah, it was a very European upbringing, even though my parents strongly sort of assimilated, and they've always been like that. They said to us, Australia's our home now. Don't speak English outside, don't speak Polish outside the home.
Right.
Yeah, and we were very proud. I still did Polish dancing, and we ate all the food at home, still do.
Yeah.
But it was really like, this is our home.
Yeah.
And if you're going to support any sporting teams, you know, during an event, it's Australia now. Like Poland comes second, Russia comes second. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're so patriotic.
Yeah,
They love it
right.
because they can't believe it. They're like, this is the best country ever, and we're so lucky that we're here, and this is who we are now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so...
So was it, how did then your dad, how did it happen that your dad left and then your mum left? Like, going back to that, how full on and how stressful?
Very.
When you're pregnant too and got a 3-year-old.
And I can't imagine doing that myself.
No.
Often when I think about where I am now and what my parents have achieved in just one generation, it's amazing, because they had no money, no language skills, and especially for my mum doing that separately from my dad, but like, they're ballsy.
Yeah, my God.
You know, they really are. So it kind of doesn't surprise me that they did that, because all their
Yeah.
families are still over there,
Yeah.
and it's not very nice.
Right.
But they just never, I guess they didn't really want to leave where they were from.
Yeah, right.
Mum and Dad are really courageous people, very inspiring. And the fact that they made such a sacrifice has always motivated me to like do the best that I can, almost to a point where it's a bit full on.
Yeah,
like, I'm a bit of a perfectionist from that point of view, because like,
Right.
I have to do the best that I can. And they, funnily enough, they're always saying like, chill out.
Yeah, but you feel that pressure.
But
on
I feel
yourself.
the pressure to like make the best of what they've given me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So when you moved out and you go to primary school and you don't speak any English, how is that trying to fit in? You know, how was that? How was your first year of primary school?
Yeah, it was really hard. And I remember desperately wanting to be Australian.
Yeah, right.
And especially with my lunches. I think a lot of kids that come from, you know, sort of migrant families have the same experience, where they wish that they didn't have the salami sandwich. They just, all I wanted was Vegemite. Devon, all the stuff that's cool now, like rye bread and like, you know, grainy bread and like charcuterie and pickled things. That wasn't cool in the 80s.
Yes.
I wanted Vegemite, I wanted Devon, I wanted, you know, cheese and tomato sandwiches. I just wanted to be like everybody else, with white bread, meat pie, sausage roll. Yeah, but all I had was this gourmet stuff in the lunchbox, and I was so embarrassed because it had a funny smell.
Yeah.
And I was like, can't I just be like everybody else?
Isn't it funny how when you're that young and you're just trying to fit in, even the littlest things like your lunch being different is like, oh my God, I just don't really fit in here. Not like these other kids. The smallest thing like that. It's incredible, isn't it?
It is. And I just, I desperately wanted to be like everyone else. And I think that even though I didn't realise this at the time, and maybe not even in my teenage years, I do now, there's an insecurity that comes from that, that you take away with you later in life.
Yeah.
And you don't know why you've got it, but you do.
Yeah.
I'm not anymore, but it was definitely hard, like in my teens and early 20s. I still had this thing of like desperately trying to fit in.
Yes.
And when I kind of worked out that it stemmed from that,
Yeah.
then I sort of went, this is ridiculous. And of course, yeah.
So much does.
Yeah.
So much of it comes back to your childhood where you make a decision like, oh, I'm not safe here, I don't fit in here. And then you live out, like, you know, as a 30-year-old woman, making the decision you made as a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
But it's so programmed in you.
It's so weird. And now it's like I celebrate my culture, and I'm so proud of the diversity, and I'm so glad that it wasn't a normal upbringing. And I love, you know, that part of my childhood and upbringing and culture now.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how, like, back then, I just wished that it wasn't like that.
Totally.